Good afternoon, everyone. I have invited you here today to talk about the addition of a fuel terminal in Sinking Springs, Pennsylvania. As you know, the site is planned to be built within the next year, and I wanted to go over some of the hazards associated with the fuel terminal in this location. I wanted to introduce myself first. I am the plant manager for the site and have 15 years experience as a plant manager with other sites for the corporation. I have knowledge with fuel terminals and I'm also aware of the history of this corporation. I next wanted to address some of the audience members here with us today. First, we have members of the executive corporation. Next, we have members of the corporation who will be working at this fuel terminal who have previously worked at other fuel terminals in the corporation. Third, we have members of the community who will be affected by the addition of the fuel terminal in the area. And lastly, we have shareholders of the company. I wanted to begin by discussing 3 points about the fuel terminal and then go over supporting facts. The 3 points are: the fuel terminal is susceptible to flooding and needs flood prevention. Second, flooding can cause serious damage to the area and neighboring properties. And third, this can cause business to be down for an extended period of time. I'm now going to go over each of these points in detail and then summarize at the end. The first point again is that the fuel terminal is susceptible to flooding and needs flood prevention. As previously seen in additional information that was supplied to you, the fuel terminal is located in a 100-year flood zone. FEMA, which is a government agency of the United States, has detailed this flood map. The whole terminal is located in the floodplain and the whole site would be susceptible to flooding. The chance of a major flooding event in the area is 1% each year. The damage associated with the flooding can be mitigated by having flood barriers in place, having a detailed business continuity plan to mitigate any downtime, and lastly, to have a flood emergency response plan, otherwise known as FERP. The FERP can detail events that should take place before, during, and after the flooding to mitigate any loss and any downtime of the company. My second point again is that the flooding can cause serious damage to the fuel terminal and to the surrounding areas. There are 3 things that can occur during a flooding event that can cause damage. The first is that the flood tanks can move if they are not filled to capacity. These tanks can go into neighboring areas and damage neighboring homes, or move to other areas of the terminal and damage those areas, such as the loading truck area. The second is that the pumps can become damaged from the water if they're not properly covered. This can cause an overflow event of the fuel and cause fuel to go into the area and also to neighboring properties. This would be a very extensive cleanup and would require emergency action by the environmental agencies. The last thing that can happen is that the cost of reconstructing the fuel terminal would be very expensive. As you know, this is a capital endeavor for the company, and the cost of reconstructing would be a complete remodel of the fuel terminal. If the fuel terminal is just recently built, this is a poor loss of investment, and there would be something that would really negatively affect the company. The third point is that the flooding can cause business to be down for an extensive period of time. This not only hurts the company, but also the people in the surrounding areas. If there's no fuel to be supplied, this can cause a shortage of fuel, which means that people are not able to get to work or to the activities that they need to get to. This can also cause an increase in the price of fuel. As you know, anytime there is a shortage, there is an increase in fuel. This would be very detrimental to the surrounding areas. The last point is that the company could lose credibility if they're not able to properly supply fuel to the areas. If the company is not able to do this in this instance, what makes the public think that they're going to be able to do this in the future? This is the end of my 3 points. I just wanted to reiterate that the points are: the flooding area is susceptible to flood damage that can cause damage to the fuel terminal and surrounding areas, and lastly, this can cause business to be down for an extensive period of time. Thank you for your time today, and I appreciate you all coming. If you have any other questions, please feel free to direct them to me or other members of the corporation. Also, I will be providing you with an email that you can send any direct feedback or questions that you have. Thank you for your time.